All right, there we go. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This is our last fall webinar, which has just gone so fast, I can't believe it. But today we're going to be talking about analyzing picture books to support early literacy. Very excited about that. So my name is Susanna Gilbert. I am a project coordinator with Teaching Books, which just means that I get to lead webinars like this and work with our different initiatives in different states uh, and answer all of your interesting questions. So if you're not familiar yet, the collection analysis initiatives from Teaching Books are brought to you today by the state libraries of Ohio and Missouri, bringing ongoing professional development to library staff, whether you're working in a school or a public library or an academic library, um, or you're working somewhere else, but with children's and young adult books, we're providing tools to affirm that those titles, whether that's a display or a recommended reading list or a full collection, are meeting the needs that you want them to, or meeting your goals for what that collection is hoping to accomplish. All right, and I'm going to turn it over to Erin briefly here.
Hi, everybody. My name's Erin. I'm a consultant at the State Library. Excited to be here to our last webinar of the fall tier. But I'm excited to talk more about this tool and how it can be used for early literacy and supporting our teachers and librarians in that way.
Thank you. So if you are in Ohio, I'll bring these contact slides up again, but please feel free to reach out to Erin and I with any of your questions. And then the same goes for Katie and I in Missouri.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Katie. I'm with the Missouri State Library. And yeah, I just kind of want to echo what Erin was saying. Excited for this last webinar in our series for this fall. So hopefully you will get some good information and come join us in the spring when we have some more.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so today we're going to take a little quick run through the big picture of how this works. We're going to look at some different ways to create new lists on Teaching Books, as we usually do. We're going to explore some collection analysis reports, specifically of picture books today, and look at what we might want to look for there. And we'll talk about finding titles to support early literacy, some resources, and an early literacy toolkit we have available. So as always, we are hoping that you leave today feeling ready to use these tools in your library, feeling excited about the opportunity to take a deeper dive into the books that you're sharing in your community. So why use these tools? The hope is that this is something you can build routines around, right? So they're simple, effective tools to take a look at collections of varying sizes. So not just, a whole scale library diversity audit, but what can you do to make small and tangible changes to smaller sets of titles that you're sharing? You get documentation of that collection information. You get resources to help you evaluate, promote, and bring books to life once you have found them. And then confidence that those titles are meeting those community needs that you've identified. Support and training is also available. You hopefully already know that since you're in a training right now. But please reach out with your questions. We are very, very happy to help you figure out what's going on, how we can help, what you're working on, all of that great stuff. So let us know. All right, so our quick overview here is you're going to start by identifying the set of titles that you want to look at. So that can be, for our purposes today, that could be your entire picture book collection. I wouldn't recommend starting with the whole thing right off the bat because that's a little intimidating. But it could be a set of titles that you've shared in story times. It could be a display that you're creating. It could be maybe you have your picture books organized by bin and you want to take a bin and just see what's in there and analyze that. All your dinosaur books, see what you have going on. And then you're going to import them into teaching books. So I'll dive more into this, but there are hopefully enough different ways that you can import your titles that one of them will work for you, whatever you're trying to do. So you can quick add, you can type titles in there. You can scan ISBNs. So if you've got a barcode scanner or a phone, you can see my lovely hand model here demonstrating both of those options. Or we'll talk a little bit about some of the ways that you could add titles in bulk. And then immediately, you're going to get a whole bunch of information about that set of titles. So, how many genres, how many cultural experiences? Is this all fiction? Is it all nonfiction? Is it a mix? Diverse books, graphic novels, award winners, a whole bunch of different things. And then all of that information broken down more granularly as well. So we'll dive into that in just a second. But I wanted to give you a little bit of a preview of what you can expect to see today and how this kind of process works overall. All right, so we are going to hop over to Teaching Books itself, as we always do. And we're going to create some lists. We're going to see what we can do. You do want to be logged in. So we're on Teaching Books for Libraries here, the blue version. You may also be familiar with Teaching Books for Schools. It's going to be the same tools that I'm demonstrating today. So no need to worry if you are in a Missouri school and not an Ohio public library. This is all going to be relevant information for you. But the first thing you want to do either way is get logged in. So you go to this toggle menu on Teaching Books for Libraries. It's going to say professional login. On schools, it's going to say educator. Same thing. You're going to put in your work email. And if you've never created an account before, it'll prompt you to confirm your email, set up a password, all that great stuff. And if you have created an account before, you'll log in here and see the collection analysis landing page. So something I did not talk about at the very start here is that you do need to register for this. So my hope is that you already have if you're here for these webinars, but if you have not, please go do that. I will put the links in the chat there. You're going to go to Ohio registration if you're in Ohio, Missouri registration if you're in Missouri, fill out a quick form. And that will allow me to do two things. One of them is email you about cool things like whatever webinar series we're doing in the spring when it gets announced. And it allows me to put a flag on your Teaching Books account that tells us this is something you're working on. So when you log in, you'll see this landing page. So why do you want to see this landing page? Great question. It's got a whole bunch of useful things in one place for you. Some of them are available other places, some of them are not, but either way, they're all right here together. It's going to give you the option to just dive right in and start creating a list. But you could also take a look at our quick start guide that goes through these steps. You could take a look at our handbook that is a more in-depth walk through the step-by-step of how all of this works. If that's something that's useful to your learning style, we have that available. You can explore a sample list analysis report, and brand new today, it was brand new last week, but I haven't done a webinar since then. We have an FAQ linked. So you'll see this has some basic questions right now. What is this? Why do you want to register? But as you ask more cues, they will become more frequent, and I will put them in there with the answers. So please do reach out with your frequently asked questions. But that's got some useful information too, in case you're looking for it. And here again is my email and a phone number if you need to reach out with those questions. All right, so what are we doing here? I scheduled these webinars over the summer. We got the whole schedule put together, and middle of last week, I was on Instagram, and I realized that November is Picture Book Month. So completely by accident, we scheduled this for Picture Book Month. I probably should have just said that I knew that all along and this was, the big plan, but I did not. It just worked out really nicely to give us the opportunity to talk about some great picture books today. I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to take a look at some analysis reports, which is what I always like to do to celebrate anything. We're going to take a look at some different kinds of collections. So hopefully this is going to be applicable whether you're in a public library or a classroom. What picture books are you sharing in story times? What picture books do you have available in a library, a school library or classroom? What's in your reading program? And then you're going to receive those immediate insights that we talked about into recency and genre. And specifically today, we're even going to talk about some phonics concepts, of course, since we're talking about early literacy. And then just exploring some ways to identify relevant and engaging and diverse picture books that you can share with the hopes that they will also be a good learning tool for the families in your community. All right, so we're going to create a list. We're just going to dive right in. A couple of different ways you can do that. You can go to your custom reading lists here or in the 3-line toggle menu, but we are just going to dive right in with our start creating a list button. And this is going to be picture book month. Yay. You do need to save your collection name before you can add anything to it. So that's the first thing we'll do. And of course, now we don't have anything in this collection, but we're going to add some things. I think the sort of simplest way to add a title is, of course, just quick add by book title, searching them. So we can go click, clack, moo. It's going to give us the great original, Valentine's Day variant, different languages, spin-off series, all sorts of different things. But of course, we're just going to stick the original title on here. We'll add our little add to reading list button there, clear search, save, and now we've got a title on our list. You can also, as I mentioned, add them by ISBN. So if you have a barcode scanner attached to the computer that you're working on, you can just click into this box here, and instead of typing in a title, you scan a barcode, ISBN barcode, not your library's item number barcode. I've done that by mistake. ISBN barcode, and it'll pop up like this with the book title. If it is not a title that we have in the teaching books collection, it will likely populate with title and author information. It just will not link to a teaching books record, and we will not have collection analysis information available for it. So that's something to look out for if you're adding by ISBN. We'll add that. If you are not working on a computer with a barcode scanner attached, you can also scan with a camera. So instead of clicking in here, we're going to click on this little barcode icon. And this is going to connect to your webcam, probably ask you to allow it, probably ask you to log off of the webinar that you're leading in Zoom so it can use your camera. But phone camera, webcam, tablet camera, you'll be able to scan that barcode that way as well. So those are kind of our quick add options. Bulk adding options, I think the quick add ones are great if you're looking at here's 20 titles in a display, or here's 15 titles that I put on a list. But if you are thinking, okay, I want to look at like a large portion of my picture book collection for whatever reason, we do have our bulk add options. So you can paste a list of titles and authors, and it's going to tell you exactly how that needs to be formatted. You can paste a list of ISBNs, or you can upload a CSV file. The CSV files in particular, it's got these lovely little instructions. If you're having trouble, please do reach out to me. I'm happy to help you with CSV files, happy to help with spreadsheets, figure out how you can get this information out of whatever systems you're using. But I will say that the number one reason that people send me CSV files that don't work is because they did not format them this way. So this is a great first step to make sure that it's going to work for you instead of being frustrating. All right, going to paste some ISBNs here. So we have some books to explore. We'll copy those in here and make sure you'll notice here we want one ISBN per row. We don't want any other data, spaces, characters, anything else in here. So even if I just had a space, a line break there, it would not import all of those in the way that I want it to. This, we got 22 matches. Wonderful news. If you are uploading a larger portion, if that was a really long list, if that was 150 ISBNs that I just pasted in there, or if I'm uploading a CSV file with 2,000 titles in it, it will, instead of getting this little pop-up, it's going to give you one that tells you that your report has been put into a queue, and it will get to it in usually just a few minutes. So it is still very fast unless every single person in your library is trying to upload one at once, and then it's going to be a little bit slower. But you'll get an email notification and you'll get an in website notification that has been imported. But here we go. We've got our 22 titles. I'm going to save again because that's always a good idea. There's a few things you can do on this page directly. Of course, you can always remove titles, get them out of there. You could add a note about a title if you want to have some information. Those notes will appear both here and when we go to view our list, they will also appear on this page, or they can be added and removed on this page as well. So there's a whole bunch of things you can do with lists. We can filter, we can share, but today we're just mostly going to focus on what we can do with this list analysis reports, obviously. There's two options here. One of them is you'll see this triangle icon, list analysis report. This appears on any list. So if I create a list, it's going to be on there. If one of my colleagues on our content team creates a school library journal list or Ohio State list or something like that, here's all the books that have won the Caldecott. Those lists are also going to have that available. So you can analyze any list that shows up on the site. But for the work we're going to be doing today, I don't recommend just going to look at it here. I recommend saving it. So you'll see in our left-hand menu of options here, we've got Save List Analysis Report. And that basically just means that that analysis report is going to exist separate from this list with its resources. And that will allow us to do some cool stuff later. Little hint of things to come. So we'll create a new report here and we'll hit import and here we go. There's our list analysis. Boom. So what do we notice here right away? There's going to be a whole bunch of information in your at a glance. We know we have 10 genres, 5 cultural experiences. This is 100% fiction. We've got 9 diverse books, no graphic novels, pretty high percentage of award winners. Publication year median is 2019. That's not too bad. Wasn't that long ago. And the page count average and word count average, gets a little bit more specific than what most people are looking for, but it's kind of cool to have it there. And this is exactly what I would expect to see for a list of picture books, right? We know that 36 is right around that average for a picture book length and relatively low word count as well. So what we would expect to see there, got our Lexile, our reading levels, and then all of this broken down. So again, here's that fiction, here's Lexile. We can get into recency. We can see what is our book from 1969, and it is Very Hungry Caterpillar. Or, click into any of these and see what titles we have available. We can see our cultural experience details here, what we have, how many titles, and what percentage that is. And we have our classification definitions linked here. So one thing I want to talk about in particular with picture books and cultural experiences is I think when sometimes when you're importing picture books and thinking about what cultural experiences are going to pop up, it might be a little bit surprising, some of the things. Um, the example that one of my colleagues always uses is the picture book, The Snowy Day. Great book. It's snowing here for me today. I was thinking about it earlier. Um, that is a book with beautiful illustrations of a Black child playing in the snow. But on teaching books, it is not a book that is classified as African American. Um, because the argument with our classification definitions is that it's not a book about being African American. It's not a book about the Black cultural experience. It is simply a book about snow and the child is Black. So it's that sort of, is this just visual diversity, or is this a book that is about a particular cultural experience? And so I think that's particularly interesting when we're thinking about picture books, because we are thinking about that visual aspect, what's showing up in the illustrations. So I wanted to pause there. If you have questions about that, you can take a look at our classification definitions. I think they're very interesting read, but I like that sort of thing. You can also reach out to me with any questions you have about that. All right, genre detail. Obviously, we're seeing our 22 picture books here. That's a good start, but we've also got a nice mix of other things in that are cross-tagged there along with picture book. I really want to know what horror picture book we have in this collection. Of course, I should have guessed. Creepy Crayon, that well-known horror option there. So you'll see some things pop up that might surprise you. I was not expecting to see horror, even though I prepped this list in advance. But I think that's kind of the most important question to ask as you're examining these reports is, what is surprising to you? Are you seeing what you expected to see from this set of titles? Because we're not picking titles at I picked titles at random a little bit for this list, but generally when you're sharing books out in your community, you're not picking them at random. You're picking them with a goal in mind, and these reports just give you the opportunity to make sure, with numbers and charts and all of that good stuff, that you're meeting that goal, that you have what you thought you had, and that you can say, yes, this is what I was going for. So is it meeting that need? Is anything surprising to you? What changes might we want to make to meet a need if we're not meeting it, or to meet it more effectively? If we are already meeting it, how can we make this list even better? So those are always some of the questions that I think about with these. Got our curricular area details here, and then what is not included. And if you have heard me talk about these reports before, you have heard me say this, but these are not a checklist. I do not want you to think coming out of here today that you need to make sure that you have one book in every single category and every single list that you make. For one thing, that's not going to be possible. It's not a good goal for anyone. But also, we don't know what goal you're trying to meet, and so we can't tell you, this is what you need to include. This is just the information that might be interesting. In this example, I would have expected to see horror on this genres not included list, and I would not have gone out of my way to make sure that it was represented. We are not going to spend a lot of time today making sure that we have a romance picture book included on this list, because I know what I'm aiming for, and that is not it. All right. So before we dive into finding titles, I think this is a perfectly fine set of picture books, but we're going to think about some ways that we might make some changes here, add some titles, and see what effect that has. Before we do that, I want to show you one thing, which is we're going to go back to this list view here. And you'll notice we have these filters on the left-hand side. And one of them that is still relatively new to us, and is very relevant to what we're talking about today, is our phonics and phonological awareness filters. So this does not appear on your collection analysis report, but it does appear on this list. And so you're able to open this up here and say, what do I have? If this is a list where maybe you're in a public library, you're sharing it out with a teacher that you're working with, you're in a school library and you have a parent who's coming in saying, we're working on this at home and I need help. I need titles that I can read with my kid to emphasize these concepts because we want to work on that at home, but we also want to have fun reading together. We need some great picture books. So we now have a tagging system that addresses those phonics and phonological awareness concepts. One of my amazing colleagues hand tags these, and she has a wealth of knowledge about all of this information. So she's spectacular. But you can say, okay, what do we have that addresses alliteration in this particular list? We can clear that. We can say, blends. We've got our blends and digraphs. We've got our vowel sounds. We've got all right. What do we have for short A? Click, clack, moo, We All Play, Beautiful Blackbird, some great books. These are not titles that are going to be instructional, right? This is not like, or even like Bob books, kind of like we're really hammering home that short A concept. That is all that we're doing here. Every single word in this book was picked so that we can talk about short A. But they're books that are going to be really fun to read as a family. Include in a story time, whatever that is, while also giving opportunities to talk about that concept. So to introduce it in and say, oh, look, we've been talking about short A.
I think this could be a great resource for you all as you get more questions about this. I know in Ohio, the science of reading is a big topic and one that all, schools and libraries are figuring out how to best support each other. So, working with your teacher friends or your library to find those fun reads that families can do at home or at the library, I think could be really valuable because the schools and the library too would have some of the instructional readers, which, aren't always as fun. So these are the fun ones that can reinforce the concepts that they're learning. That's
Right.
cool.
They're useful. They've got their place, but
Well, of
they're not
course, yes, we
not
need
usually
them.
the books that you want to read 50 times in a
Yes.
row because you
Yeah.
got really fixated on that one good picture book.
I still have some of them memorized that I used, that I had to read to my kiddo.
My sister and I are full grown adults, and my dad still has some that he can recite in full. Yeah, that's good stuff. Those ones really stick with you. All right, so we're going to talk now about finding new titles on teaching books. So things, if we had looked at this list and said, okay, maybe we want to add some books that are newer than 2022. Want to make sure we have some stuff from the last 3 years there. Maybe we want a few more cultural experiences represented here. Maybe those are some specific ones, or maybe we just want this to be, we've only got 5 here. We can make that list a little longer. Um, Maybe we were going down to our not included here and saying, okay, we want to make sure we have some more of these concept books available as well. How do you find titles? And these might be titles that you're looking to buy. You want to purchase some new stuff to fill those gaps, but it might just be you want to get some ideas of what to look for on your shelves already. What do you have that you haven't thought of yet? So there's a whole bunch of ways to do this. We're going to look at a couple of them. One of them is by using these not included filters or links, excuse me. We'll talk about filters in a minute. You can pick one of these. You could say, we really do want to make sure we have some great immigrant and refugee picture books included in this particular display. And you open this up and it's going to give you all of the books that have that classification on teaching books. That's a lot of books. We're not going to look at all 1,000 of them because those are not going to meet our needs. But we can filter down. We can say, okay, we're looking at our youngest readers here. Maybe we want to go into genre and narrow down to just picture books there. And we know we were thinking about more recent titles, so we could go past 3 years here. And then because we already have, this immigrant and refugee filter built in, we don't need to dive into our cultural experiences, but we could dive into our phonics and phonological awareness concepts. So we could pick some of these here, but there is also an option that I love that's just any. So we could narrow that down. Okay, we only get one. We may have gone a little too far here. But the great news is we can pull any of these filters off as well. So if we decide, we want to see, we can take some of these off and get a few more books. We have the option of adding some of those as well. But it's just a nice way to dig in and see um, what books qualify for various things. And then we're going to put some of these on a list. We could pick them one by one. We could go add reading list. This is going to be our picture books to add. We're putting these on a new list. So I just created a new list. We did not put them on that list that we started with of our picture books. We can grab some here from our add multiple titles, add them all at once there. And again, we'll go to our picture books to add and throw them on there. So that's one. You can start with these not included links. We can also go in, we've got our adding and weeding titles built-in search here. We could pick some criteria to start with. We're not going to take a look at that today because we've got some other things I want to do. And excuse the scroll. The first one of those is that we're going to our browse page. And then once you're on browse, you're going to open see all collections. And again, this is all of those filter options as linked collections. So grade level, curricular area, genre. We've got our cultural experiences, year published. You can explore by resource type. But if you scroll all the way down, which sometimes people don't, you'll see we also have our phonics and phonological awareness tags as collections that you can explore as well. So we've got the any, we've got individual ones we could pick here. So I could say, I just want to go in and see everything that we have for long E. We've got 386 books, a whole lot of books with long E's in them. So we can, of course, again, continue filtering. We can say we know we've got recency that we want to think about, so we'll go past 3 years. We know that we're thinking about diversity. We're thinking about diversifying this collection a little bit. We didn't have a lot of cultural experiences included. So we could go in and pick one, but you can also just say, I want any of them would be good. We're just trying to, make this more inclusive. So we can pick that, and we're down to 7. And then again, we'll grab some of these. And those will go on this list that we created. And we'll just keep going forever. We're not going to do that. But there are, of course, a lot of ways that you can find books. So again, we could pick another phonics and phonological awareness here. We could go up and say, we're interested in concept books. We want to make sure we have some great books about colors. And then from here, say, what do we have that's going to offer us some different cultural experiences to include? Or what do we have that's a little more recent? And then some of these can be added as well. All right, so we've got this list. It's possible we just want to add all of these. If we do not want to add all of these, we can dive in and learn a little bit more. So a relatively recent resource for us is our book resumes. Those are going to be linked at the top of each title page here and have a whole bunch of information about a book. So as you are thinking about collection development, or as you're just thinking about ways to have consistent documentation about the books in your collections, these are another great option to provide some of that. You'll see we've got our different grade bands here. You can check, do they align? Are they wildly different? How are different publications classifying this? We've got our teaching books classifications that we've been looking at, but also any Subject headings from Library of Congress or BISAC will be included. We've got full text professional reviews, so 8 different sources, unabridged reviews. It'll tell you which ones are starred, and you'll be able to read all of these in one place. And then what awards and distinctions the title has won, different selections for stateless. Hey, there's Ohio. I didn't even do that on purpose. And then if you're using Libby or Sora, you can get to them on Marketplace, or you can go up here and we've got a link to an ebook sample. You can print all of this as a full report or print it as a one-page summary that has a QR code leading to the rest. You can share it digitally with a link. But there's just a whole bunch of information that might be a nice way to narrow down that list that we created. So we'll go back to it here. It lives under your reading lists. And what happens if we add these titles to the list that we already had? So what changes have we made? We were thinking about making changes, but did it work? We can go in, we're going to save list analysis report. Again, instead of viewing it, we're going to save. And this time we're going to pick that picture book month display that we created the first time. And we'll import it. And then this gives us our version 2. So we still have that version 1 that we can look at without the changes that we made. But here at a glance, what have we done that's different? We know we had 5 cultural experiences before, so we've added 4 here. I think we had 10 genres, so we added 5 different ones. Brought our publication year median up a little bit there. Added some nonfiction, that's fun. Kept our word and page count averages about the same. And once again, you can just dive in and explore here and see, okay, yeah, that we added some books from the last 3 years. We added a whole bunch of different cultural experiences here. Added a whole bunch of genres. Look at all those genres. And then curricular areas. And then, of course, here are our much shorter what's not included lists. So I think this is a really amazing option for if you're thinking about augmenting some collections, if you want to make some changes, you want to add some things, but you want to be really sure that those changes are going to have the impact that you want them to. Whether that is moving books around, adding them to a display, buying some new things, you have this information before you've done any of that. And you can take this to your admin and say, this is why I want to make this change. You can just keep it in your own files. You've got the option to share this report. You can download it as a spreadsheet. So it'll be all of that same information in a nice spreadsheet that includes the ISBNs for all of the books. So if they are ones you're thinking about purchasing, that makes that a little bit easier. But you can also go into your collection analysis reports here and do a little compare, check those and hit compare. And this is going to give us the side by side. So again, just a chance to say, did we do what we were intending to do? We added some genres, we added some cultural experiences. Our top 3 genres have stayed the same, but I'm okay with that here. Picture book, humor, realistic fiction seems like a great top 3 genres for a picture book list, if you ask me. We've got our cultural experiences. Those have shifted a little bit, but we can see here these percentages. What have we added? What changed? All of that right next to each other. So can be good if you are interested in looking at those side by side. All right. I do want to touch very briefly on one other thing, which is what can you do with these books once you have them and you want to promote them a little bit, do something fun with them in your library. And so we're going to pull up a great picture book and take a look at what we have. Book resume is going to be available here. We can see all of our classifications, some information about the book there. It's going to tell you what phonics and phonological awareness collection this is in. And then if we go into our original resources, these are teaching books resources, so things that we created in-house, not things that our content team found out on the internet and decided were wonderful things that needed to be added to the resources we have available. You'll see we've got audio name pronunciation, so you can make sure you're pronouncing authors' names correctly at story time. Sometimes we have meet the author recordings, but we also have some relatively new early literacy focused resources. So if you're working in the schools, these might be great things to have on hand. If you are working in public libraries, these might be great things to share with the teachers you're working with or share with parents, families. And that includes things like our printables, our phonics and phonological awareness printables there. And this will tell you, again, this is a book that reinforces rhyming. So we can go in here and we can find our rhyming printables, download them, print them out, all that good stuff. We also have some routines to reinforce phonemic awareness that you can include. We have some graphic organizers that are quite new. And then we also have our book guides, activities, and lessons section, which is going to include those things that I was just looking at. So our graphic organizers, printables, routines, but also some great stuff from outside sources. So things from the publisher that you could use in tandem with this book. We've got activity guides from a variety of sources that'll tell you, great books, information to know about it, story time guides. So there's just a whole bunch of things that once you have a book and have said yes, we want to use this one. It doesn't stop there. You can just keep going, finding more great stuff. I'm just going to highlight this very briefly today. We're not going to dive too far in, but if you search for early literacy, you'll see we have our early literacy toolkit linked under featured here. And this is just a lot of the things that I've been talking about in one place. So our pre-K 2 collections, so beginning early readers, our concept books, those phonological awareness collections that we were looking at linked there, those instructional routines, printables, graphic organizers, standard support, all sorts of stuff that might be useful if this is something that you're thinking about. So not specifically related to collection analysis except for the filtering, but I wanted to highlight that we have that available for you as well. All right. Katie and Aaron, anything else you want to share about picture books today?
So it's just a quick, as you were looking at the early literacy, it was something on the side that was like read aloud books, I think, on there, or read aloud performances. And I just wanted to point out that anything that's in teaching books, libraries are welcome to use and share. So it's not like it's behind a paywall or anything like that. Those are all resources that you can share out with your patrons or your students right away.
Absolutely. Thank you. That is a wonderful, yes. So if you are in a list looking at a book and you go in and you're looking at Dreamers and you say, I want to share this Meet the Author recording where Gigi Morales talks about creating Dreamers, or I want to share this complete reading of her reading her book aloud, wonderful video. We have done the copyright legwork for you there already, so you can share these out using our share arrow with your patrons, with your community, with your students, whoever it is you're working with.
A lot of these resources could also help support programming that you're doing. Um, as my background's in public libraries, so I'm always thinking that showing the author recording or using one activity can really enhance your programming at the library.
Absolutely. Yes, the goal is always that, you'll be able to analyze these books, you'll be able to find new things to add, and then once you have those things, what can you do with them? How can you promote them? How can you integrate them into programs and have cool things to share alongside, get your readers excited about them? Awesome. All right. Back to our slides very quickly here. This flowchart is just a fun visualization, if that's something that works for you, of what this process might look like, with the emphasis on the fact that it is intended to be something that you come back to. So something that you can integrate into your routines, find a way to, touch base with this with any set of titles you're sharing out, but also that you might come back to the same set of titles more than once. You might make some changes and then come back and say, let's tweak that again. It is ever changing. You can always keep growing and making new collection analysis reports. Usually right there, we would have a slide talking about our upcoming webinars. We don't have that information for you right now since we're at the end of that series, but if you are registered for the initiative, you will get that information by email. So register if you haven't already, and we will have more information for you about webinars in the new year. In the meantime, if you have any questions, you can reach out to Erin and I if you're in Ohio. You can reach out to Katie and I if you are in Missouri. We would love to hear from you, whether that is you sharing what you've been working on, what you're finding as you explore your collections, whether that is just a minor technical question or a big picture access question or anything like that. Please reach out. We're happy to help you with those.